I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:01. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing while we remember those who've gone before us. Thank you. Roll call, please, Ann.
Trustee Downing. Trustee Trey.
Here. Sorry.
Trustee Bushner's present.
Trustee Ryan.
Here.
Patton.
Here.
O'Malley.
Here.
All right. Let's get started. We may have to come back to a few things, as there are a few people who aren't here yet, who should be coming. Andy is going to be here tonight. David Engel's coming, and David Bond's coming. But I want to start with a few announcements. There's only one here, but I actually have a bunch to talk about. The first and foremost is that I think it was on Thursday or Friday of last week, FEMA made their decision, and they decided to not declare the July storms across, I think it was 13 counties in the state, a disaster. Hi, Andy. So that means that as it stands right now, there is no support from FEMA. Now, the process, and I have a call through to the county, and as well as I'm speaking to DEC a little bit on this to figure out, there is an appeal process. I don't know exactly what it is, but we plan to follow that route. I know it's fairly high profile because one of the U.S. representatives in New York was tweeting about it almost instantly about how it's just absolutely inappropriate decision, and they're going to appeal it as best they can. So I know that in terms of that, that is the unfortunate news. Now,
is that appeal for just Hoosick Falls, or would be
that would be the entire statewide decision. It's kind of a perplexing decision because we clearly had all the thresholds were hit and then some to officially declare a disaster. So, and as soon as there's a report or some documented decision as to why they came to that decision, I'm going to get that to everybody. But it was a pretty surprising move to me. I mean, I understand that there's been a lot of disasters lately, but doesn't mean our disaster's not a disaster. It's still
Right, because the western part of the state got the money.
Yep. Now that brings me to the next point. That the money that Lake Ontario got, that came from the state. I was speaking again with the state, and they're in the processes of finalizing and preparing their response, which hopefully will give us some form of what we need to make sure this situation can be remedied, both in the short term and the long term. I'm expecting in the next coming days to hear something more officially about that, but at this point, that's where we're at right now.
Do we initiate that if we're appealing as a group of the counties that?
That's what I have to find out, because I'm not sure. I originally heard from the New York's Department of Homeland Security. Mm-hmm. I know the county knows, but I don't know if the appeal process is at the county level, at the state level, so that's sort of the situation I have to figure out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Only on a county supervisor was on Capitol tonight last night saying they're appealing.
Yeah, I would imagine everyone's going to appeal because it was so obvious of a need. I think they investigated like 14 or 15 counties, and 13 counties across the state hit the threshold. So. All right. A few other announcements. First off, I want to thank Hoosick Falls Central School. In the past, they've accessed and given us the desk that Judy has now, a binder sorter that has helped us store things in the office in a more efficient way. They even gave us a monitor to go in along with the second computer for Mark's assistant. Recently, in their main office, they were getting rid of that huge counter with all the filing cabinets underneath. So Neil's crew scarfed them up for us, which thank you, Neil, and your crew for doing that. They are down in the basement, and we're in the process in the next few weeks of clearing one of the rooms that currently has some storage stuff, some old documents, and some computer stuff, and we're going to make room for that. And that's going to help us sort of, in our free time, get to give us a way to continue working on filing and sorting all of the thousands of documents.
There's a whole week off coming up soon. Watch out.
Oh, yeah, get right on that. So thank you to Hoosick Falls Central School. An update on the TANA, the Technical Assistant Needs Assessment Program that EPA is doing with us. Kirby Webster is the contact. She's spoken with 5 people so far. She's scheduled to meet with myself and Brian, and if anyone else, I think I sent the email out, wants to be a part of that on Monday, or wants to talk with her in person or on the phone, that's fine. And I think also that I think Mark is in his town supervisor hat's also speaking to them coming soon. But that's just there, and if anyone doesn't have that contact information,
Time on
just
Monday?
3:30 for us.
Mm-hmm.
3:30 for Brian and I.
I already
Yeah.
spoke to her.
Yep. Okay. Good.
I already spoke to her.
Okay.
All right. So I know she said she's spoken with 5. She's reached out to everybody on the list, and if anyone else wants to get contact information, we do still have the flyers here, and you can reach out to the office and we'll get you in contact with them. We have a few new businesses that have opened up very recently. Hoosick Packaging Store just had their grand opening on Thursday, which I was bummed I didn't hear about, or I totally would have been there. That would have been really cool. The Church Street Mercantile, when did that open?
I think it opened the same night, right? Thursday, Saturday, or
Grand opening was Friday night,
Friday
Grand
night?
opening was Friday night.
and then they were open Saturday and Sunday.
That's
So-
when they're open.
That's very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And Brian, if you can make a list of the things I want to get out on Facebook, that's gonna. I just know in my head there's like many things coming, but I want to put something out on the Facebook page about those events.
Well, shop local now that you can.
Yeah. Gonna take a drink of my hot chocolate now. All right. Community band concert is this Wednesday the 20th. The sheet's taped right there, and I also have one of these at 7:30 in the which church is it? Presbyterian. That's always a good event. 2 more announcements. We had some concerns prior about Wilder Avenue, and we went back and looked, and sure enough, the local law is specific. You cannot be parking on this side. Wait, where are we here?
South.
It's right there. The south side of Wilder Avenue. So I have not gotten that letter drafted out to the addresses, but I'm going to send it just a simple letter to all the people on Wilder saying, I just want you guys to know this is the rule, this is the law, you can't park on that, and want to make you aware of it now because we're going to have to start enforcing it now that the snow has arrived. So-
I think a lot of the problem's been solved because I think now the house is up for sale and it looks empty up there on the house. So the main
All right.
culprit,
All
I
right.
think the problem's solved.
Good.
But it's good that.
Wanna make sure people know.
The whole area.
Yep. And the last announcement is we did have a nice article in the Rensselaer Chamber of Commerce, which I put in the very back of your packet, I think. Hoosick, this article here, Hoosick is rising and building on investments and momentum. So it's here, and the actual Chamber of Commerce packet is here. It's on page 3 if anybody wants to grab it and pass it around. It's a nice article. I think they would have wanted to name some of the great businesses and people involved, but I don't think they're allowed to name people that aren't in the Chamber of Commerce. So maybe we can work on that in the future. So that's it for my announcements and correspondence. People to be heard, starting with the request from the St. Patrick's Day Committee to use Wood Park for festivities. We did receive a letter. I would like to thank you for your support. The annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. This will be our 27th annual parade. We'll step off at 12 noon on Saturday, March 17th. We would like to have the Irish flags put up on the poles for the month of March so that it will help lead up to the excitement of the parade on Saturday, March 17th. This year, we would like to request to use the Wood Park and the gazebo to hold an Irish festival with Irish music, food, vendors, and drink in the afternoon after the parade. This one day of the Parade and Music Festival always brings people from all over the area into town, and they spend money at our local stores, pubs, and restaurants. We are told that this is one of the busiest and most profitable days in the village. We would like to request from the village any funds that may be available to be used to help offset the cost of the parade, which every year the cost increase, and last year cost just over $6,000. The money is raised from fundraisers we put on throughout the year and donations from our supporters. We look forward to having you join us at the parade on March 17th, and again, we really appreciate the village's support. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and it's from both Marie and Kevin.
What was the date again for the?
The date is Saturday, March 17th,
St. Patty's Day.
noon. Yep.
It actually is St. Patrick's Day. There. Wow.
It actually is this year, yes.
Wow.
Nice.
So one of the reasons we are that we're requesting to have the park and the gazebo afterwards for the festival. Normally we either have gone into the armory, we've gone into the church basement with entertainment, with face painting, with food and dancers and all of the different things going on. This year being on Saturday, we thought we had a couple of successful concerts in the park over the summer that really went well, gave us the idea. let's use this park more. It's a great central location. It gets everybody out.
Mhm.
We're bringing our businesses in. Tricia's here on behalf of the Sandbar, Mike from Iron Coffee, Jason from the package store, and also Unihog. And we're in the process of putting it out to others and inviting them in for vendors and whatever. We have contacted 2 of the Albany area's Irish bands. We're looking at having 2 different sets of music here. One is called Hellcat Maggie, and they're very energetic. They pop out in their kilts and play the pipes and play some really good, interesting Irish music. And then we have more traditional acoustic set and with the Boran and the mandolin. I've got a mandolin player coming with Kevin McCraw.
Nice.
So we would just like to get the okay from the board that we can proceed with this in our plans, and
The setup is going to be similar to what it was
similar to what
for
we had in the park.
on July
The
22nd.
vendors,
Okay.
we'll have, Trish will have, the Sandbar will have the beer and wine areas set off and cordoned off and taking care of that piece.
And we leave it to, Chief Ash has always been kind of advising us on whether he wants that piece of it cordoned off or whether he would be willing to let people wander the park with plastic cups. We're fine either way, whichever way everyone decides to go with that. I think it probably makes more sense for that to be a village or town decision as opposed to just Chief Ash's. He'd probably prefer to have a little bit more input into that from others. So I encourage you guys to consider that and let us know what you would
I think we should ask
Absolutely.
Andy about that for sure. Is make sure we're.
Village Attorney Andy, would you like to comment? Well, first up, before that, we can do the approval of the actual date and time in the park, but we do need a liquor license
Yeah,
approved.
You will get a,
Right,
you will
you-
get a
you
letter
guys
from
know
us
this,
as,
but-
as per the usual.
And the liability insurance.
And
all that,
right,
yeah.
exactly, and we get the liability
Yep.
rider, and just for informational purposes, the liquor authority does approve the entire properties, the use of the entire property, so
Okay.
the cordoning off would really be a local decision, not a liquor authority imposition.
The biggest issue is insurance and liability
Mhm.
waiver.
Okay.
So you certainly should review that with your broker, make sure appropriate insurance is in place,
Okay.
that the liquor license is issued, it does cover the entire premises, and then coordinate with your police chief, because, his
Yeah.
input will help the board.
Yep. And we had no
Alright.
issues. We had no issues in July.
Correct.
Not only did we have no issues, but that was a really talked about event. That was a great event.
Yeah, and it was also a nighttime event, the one on in July, which is this will be less cumbersome for sure for as
Yeah.
far as police, observation because
Yeah,
in the
we'll be out
daylight
in the park
hours.
by
So
5.
right.
Right, and for what it's worth, 90% of the people appreciated the leeway to be able to go stand
Oh,
closer to the
absolutely.
band and dance around with people. So,
Right.
to the extent that it would be possible, I think it would be well taken by the community as a whole. We're impartial. I mean,
Okay.
it's fine.
Could I do one comment on that, and then I have a question? I'm fine by saying entire park, meaning setting a perimeter of Everly Way, so it's not on the other side by St. Mark's Church, to exclude, because that is part of the park, but the DeCreft Memorial /
Yeah.
Yeah, is that we can make?
So-
I'm happy with Everly
I'm
Way.
in agreement with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Everly Way is the
So am I.
perimeter and Main Street and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Yep.
good.
I think we can just let Bob at. We'll
ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willing to pass that as a board. We make that
Let him
decision.
do it.
Okay.
And then the other question I had too was, I know last year was a surprise in terms of it was so warm
Oh.
yeah.
So cold last year.
Do you have an alternate? Do you have alternate location that can go inside? Because if you're booking band stuff, we definitely want to make sure we have.
We have
that happen.
we are going to have also a tent.
Okay.
We have
Is that like the heated with the
heat-
wedding
yeah,
type?
we have a
Okay.
wedding type tent, and
Nice.
we also will have heaters available to us to put into place as we see how the weather ventures as we go through the month.
Excellent.
That was
Yeah,
so
we've already
unbelievably
looked at
cold.
all of those contingencies for the weather.
Terrific.
But, I'm figuring it's St. Patrick's Day. There's a little luck of the Irish, so it should be sunny.
Plus a little, when you spend some time in the park, you you make your own sunshine.
Exactly.
So.
People come out that day and they've had enough of the winter. They're ready to have a nice time and enjoy the
Yeah.
Yeah,
great
speaking from the
music.
sandbar experience, we've had 10-degree days and we've had 60-degree days, and the turnout hasn't been that different one
No.
way or the other.
Like I
Believe it or
said,
not.
your own liquid sunshine.
If you guys don't have any other questions, I'm looking for a motion then to approve the events.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
You get that?
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
And thank you guys for organizing that every year, making it
Yep.
better and better.
Thank you.
Just get the weather a
Anyone
little
wants
warmer
to
than
help,
last
you're
year.
more than welcome to, hop
What's
into
that?
the
Yeah,
meeting.
better than last year.
Oh, the weather. Oh,
What percentage Irish do you have to be to?
You don't.
What's that?
You can buy Irish.
Everybody's
Yeah.
Irish. Everybody's
That's true,
Irish
that's true.
that day.
That's
With
true.
apologies, I have another commitment, so.
No problem. Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
very
you.
much.
oh, do me a favor, just for the record. Just say I forgot to say this. Say what your name and where your address. I forgot
Sure,
to do it later.
Trish Bloomer, the Sandbar and Restaurant.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next we have is it Professor or Doctor David Bond?
Doctor.
If it's doctor, then it's doctor. Dr. David Bond of Bennington College. He is one of the people behind the Understanding PFOA project, as well as an immense amount of work that they have done for their PFOA situation over in Bennington College. I got to participate in one of those events. And that was a really, really nice time, and I got to hear from some really interesting people. He has a request to us, and I forwarded on the letter earlier, and the actual survey is in your packet of information somewhere. I don't think I have it, but that's all right, so don't need it.
I have lots of copies.
All right. But the request is, and I'll let him speak to this, of course, is to send out the survey in our utility bills, which will be, I think when are they actually reading the meters? I feel like the meters are going to be read later this week. Thursday, and then we'll be putting all this stuff out right after that. So it should be going out. But Dr. Bond.
Yeah, so my name is David Bond. I'm the Associate Director of the Center for the Advancement of Public Action at Bennington College, and the recipient of 2 National Science Foundation grants to respond to PFOA.
Yep.
And our projects have tried to sort of utilize the scientific resources of the college and put them in conversation with questions that communities have about PFOA. So we're working in Hoosick Falls, Petersburg, and Bennington. And we've done a number of things, and happy to talk about those. But our latest project is responding to a number of concerns we've gotten from the community about health concerns about PFOA. And we think that the people that probably know the health of the community best are the residents of the community. So we designed this questionnaire to try to get the knowledge the community has of its own health together, so we can begin to put that knowledge into conversation with wider concerns and sort of changes going on in responses to PFOA, both locally, regionally, and so on. And so we launched this questionnaire in August. We initially thought it would be a fairly short run. We're not getting as many responses as we want. Not because people don't want to take the questionnaire. Every time we've gone door to door, we've had an enthusiastic response. It's a problem of us getting the questionnaire into people's hands on a very limited budget. And so we're trying to sort of reach out any way we can. We've been on the streets multiple weekends. We're probably going to be on the streets again, I think 2 or 3 weekends in January in the last push. But we really are hoping that we might be able to also put it in the water bill that would get it into people's hands and let them fill it out.
Are you looking for a response per family or individual?
One per individual.
Okay,
So everyone in the household can fill it out, and we have ways within the survey to sort of separate them out. We're looking for every individual to fill it out.
If we already filled it out online, do you need?
No, we have that data. This is all part of that project, so it's ongoing. We also are happy to announce we're partnering with Dr. David Carpenter at Albany Public School of Health, and his team of graduate students is also going to be out in the community in January helping us get responses.
Oh, fantastic.
So we're really excited about that, and this is the last final push, and then regardless, February 28th, we're going to end the survey, and we're going to report back very quickly after that about all of the results we have, and if there's any trends in there, we are going to sort of talk those out, and also begin to try to link up with health schools and other state officials that have the resources to really dig into those patterns or those trends.
Great.
What about people that used to live in Hoosick Falls, don't live there anymore? I see there's a question about
Yes.
people that are deceased, but
Yep.
I have 2 kids that live outside of Hoosick Falls.
This is one of the things that our questionnaire is trying to do. That the previous quick survey that the state did not capture is we're trying to capture anyone who lived in Hoosick Falls,
Okay.
and let them and their sort of experiences and knowledge come in and form our understanding.
Okay.
Good.
Dr. Bond?
Yes.
Question number 5, just a real quick.
Yep.
Please check the approximate level of PFOA in the source of your drinking water. Just a suggestion. I know you probably don't want to make too many changes, but maybe to say historically, especially if we're mailing it out with village water bills, we right now we're non-detect.
Yes.
But historically, we would be 401 999.
Correct.
Is
Yes.
there a way to either change that question if it's going out in the mail with our bills, or also clarify this was previous to it being
This is what you're not.
non-detect? Okay.
There's a way to do that.
Just to, I know don't want to skew data too much, but
No, I have a mechanism in the survey data where if people are on the public water system,
Okay.
at Hoosick Falls, I know it's between 400 and 600.
Okay.
So I already have a kind of redundancy built in.
Yep.
Okay.
To
That's
capture
great.
that.
Or
That's
if
great.
someone hasn't been tested on that question.
If someone hasn't been questioned and they're on the public water system, we know what it is. If they're on a private well and they don't know, we don't know what it is.
No, I'm saying if someone hasn't been tested.
Yes, but if they're on the public water system, then we know historically what their levels
Yeah.
were.
if they have another well tested, then they'll have a. Yeah, that's an option for that, right? Yeah, it has
Yes.
not been tested.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is if would it be okay if we worked together and changed the introductory
Yep.
part to
Yes.
make it something specifically from the mayor and the trustees would sign off on that
We would
before
work-
the letter went out there.
Absolutely.
And to note, if you've already taken it online, as Mary mentioned, I not taken it online, maybe in bold. If
Yes.
you've already taken this online, we thank you.
Yes.
You know, recycle this paper,
Okay.
Yeah.
give it to a friend.
Do you have extra ones now? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't need to.
I
Do
do.
you have extra copies of surveys now?
I do. And
Because I think my children are coming home for the holidays,
great.
and I would like, of course, there's.
I have a possible welcome to take. Everyone can take them. And the easiest thing to do is actually to go online. And there's an easy web address, www.bennington.edu/PFOA.
Well, they're out
and
of
there's a
town.
link right there, but I have the paper copies as well.
I'll get it for you. I'll get the link for you. What?
Well-
No.
Well,
right here.
I guess I had that question too. Back to 5 that
Yep.
Brian was talking about. Are we supposed to give our numbers?
This isn't the water, Ben.
This is water specific, not blood levels.
not
Okay,
blood
all right.
levels, sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
My God, if our blood level is 400 ppb.
Yeah, so if people
Okay.
report they lived in the village, it'll default to
Yeah.
the 400 to 600. That's what it was, even though it's not
Right,
now.
it's not anymore.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Ivy, do you have a question?
I actually did. What if you have a well and it hasn't been tested? Is there a way to get it tested?
We welcome this. We've done a lot of testing for homes that the state has not looked at yet, and so we welcome those inquiries, and we have resources to do water sampling and water tests for residents who haven't had their wells tested yet. So the best way is to reach out to me, to send an email to me, and I know we'll be out in the field. We were just out in Petersburg this past weekend getting water samples at a couple houses that the state had skipped over for some reason, and so we've been doing this from the get-go, and we welcome the chance to sort of to look into it. So the best way is send an email to me, dbond@bennington.edu.
I can get it for you. All right.
Are you putting this on a Hoosick Falls Village head letter? Is that what you're gonna do?
That's part of the discussion. I mean-
I'm not really fond of that, because actually the board is not.
Right.
It's something that Bennington College is doing, it's nothing to do with the village.
So if it wasn't on a letterhead, but it had a message from myself and him, would you be comfortable with that? Depending on the
I'm not
message.
comfortable with any of us being involved. I don't mind the survey,
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with that, but this board is not responsible for if anybody comes back on us for this survey, if they ever do, but
What would they come back for us?
I don't know, whatever, I know a lot of these people,
Well, you don't have to fill the survey out. I mean, I guess that's the way I look at it. I mean, you have the option of filling out or you
But
don't.
I just don't
correct?
feel comfortable. Now, anybody can, if I wanna send something in a water bill mail, I can come down and put something in the water bill, send it out, right? I have that option, cause we're doing this.
Well, I mean, that's why it's here. It's the board decision to do this or not. It's not. I can't just unilaterally say
But I'm
we're going
just
to add
saying,
this.
If somebody else wanted to come in, put something in the,
Then it would be a board decision again. Yeah.
you'd have to vote on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually would be on the other side of. I'd rather see it on the letterhead. I think it shows we do care about
I do
getting
care
info
too.
from.
It's not that. I just don't. I feel uncomfortable with it.
And you're ruffling feathers in a sense.
I guess I feel the opposite. I think it shows that as a board we've said yes, we think we are inserting this in the water bill. This is how our thoughts are on it. We are fine if you choose not to take it, but we just want to give an opportunity to people, let you know you've been heard. I think, if it's not in the letter, that's fine, but I think that shows that we're also supporting the efforts of Bennington College and all the other people involved as well.
It's the same thing as if Dr. Bond's people came to our house and we said, no, we don't want to take part.
Yeah.
Right.
You just
don't
throw it
have to
away
do Right.
if you don't want it. So
And it's no expense.
And is there
to
any
us.
issue being on letterhead? I guess that you'd be the one to ask.
Okay, plus the postage goes up because of the weight.
Whether it's on village letterhead or an indication that this is Bennington College and the village board is in support of it, it has to be made clear that this is something that's being undertaken by the college.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to say you're in support of it, I don't see any issue with that, but you have to make it clear that this is not a village undertaking, that
Okay.
this is one by Bennington College. The second point, it's going in with a water bill. People receive the water bill and know they must respond to that. It must be clear that this is not the village directing that you have to respond to this.
Okay.
Okay, that's not legally required, that this is purely voluntary. It's being conducted by the college. While you're supportive of it, and you may hope that people respond to get more data,
Yeah.
it has to be very clear this is not a village
Okay.
Okay.
requirement.
Mhm.
It's not in connection with when you send your water bill
Yeah.
in, send this in.
that makes sense.
So it must, when you're working in that language, I would certainly like to review it.
I was gonna say let's
Yeah.
let's make sure you review it then. Okay.
Yep.
All right. We have this item under new business, so if it's all right to jump to that, and if you have more discussion or questions, that's fine. But I think the original motion at face value, I want to add into the language, motion to include the health survey with a message from the mayor and Dr. Bonds, reviewed by Andy, to include in the bills or however you want to word that. So I'm just sort of, do you have any other discussion on that?
I agree with Bob not being on our letterhead, only because of what Andy just said.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to get the wrong impression that it's a mandatory village survey or that they're required to fill it out.
It needs to follow the 3-second rule of you should be able to see in 3 seconds that it's not required, it's totally voluntary, and that's
And it's being conducted by the college.
being conducted by the college. And okay, all right.
You must need to lead with that.
What's that?
You need to lead with that.
Yes.
The college.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
they vent out. I mean, I've got these at my house, so they did a great job going up and down the whole street. So I'm just wondering how many people in the village have received these.
We've covered, I would say 5 to 6%.
Okay.
I mean,
So not enough.
We've been out a
Way
lot,
not
and
enough.
every time we get out, we get an enthusiastic response from those houses we can knock on. We just don't have the manpower.
Okay.
And so this is sort of our effort. We know the committee has been really generous in sharing the information and really wants to know, and we're sort of wanting to do the best we can to get as many responses as we can.
The other question that I had is I would like them to be able to drop off the surveys here, but I want it to go in a locked box that really, in a sense, we don't have a key to, that you have a key to. Would that make sense, Andy?
In fact, I would say that should be required because this has to do with health information, which is generally protected.
And that should also be on the same letter.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Will we make these available in the village office for folks that want to come by and pick one up?
If you want to, shouldn't be a problem. Yeah.
Okay.
If that's what the village if that's what we as a board want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be good.
So
May I ask another
yeah,
question?
absolutely.
When you talked to Petersburg,
Yep.
what did they say?
Petersburg, we left a pile in the town hall. We didn't have a formal presentation.
There was no board meeting yet?
There's no board meeting. Well, it didn't make as much sense because there
The municipal water supply is
It's like
so small.
50 people, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and Petersburg is, as everyone, is far more spread out. And so we've been able to target a few small areas, but we're still trying to figure out what the best way to reach the most people in Petersburg is.
Okay.
We've had a couple.
We did have the presentation.
We
We
did
did have one.
We had an information meeting that had, I think, 50 people or so showed up. We're hoping to have another one of those to try to find ways of gathering people together to fill it out.
Do you think you've had a higher percentage of Petersburg residents than Hoosick Falls residents respond?
I think so far we have the highest from Hoosick Falls.
Oh, okay. Not just in terms of number, but percentage of responses versus population.
I'd have to get back to you on the exact thing, but my
sorry.
sense of my quick
Curious.
look at the data was that there was more from Hoosick
All right.
Falls,
That's
or
good.
previously from Hoosick Falls.
Okay. All right. Great. So I guess at this point, I'm looking for a motion to include the health survey with a message from the mayor and Dr. Bond, approved by Andy, in the December water bills.
Motion.
Second.
Ben, second Bob. Any further discussion?
Yes. How many pages is the water bill?
It's normally just one sheet, and by adding the
So
other
1
two
plus
sheets
2 is
in
3.
doesn't
So-
affect postage.
Okay.
We checked
Because I
on
would
that.
be concerned about that if we're
Yep.
going
No.
making
Yep.
more expense.
Yeah, no extra expense on postage.
You're not putting pound cake in there or anything.
We could do it on one page.
I can get it on one page.
You.
So
Let's see what we can come up with to see how to get it best fit. But that's good. All right. Any other discussion on this?
I just still want to go back to talk about the letter a little more too.
I'm actually worried the letterhead will take up space. I don't think we have that much space to get.
I guess I'm
everything
more
in.
if it's coming. If there's a message from the mayor as well, I guess when I get this, I'd rather have it say, enclosed in the letter, enclosed in your bill this month, you will find XYZ,
Mhm.
you know, and explaining everything from it, and then kind of turn it over to Bennington College where their branding and their identification's on there. I just feel like it's an important small detail that it's not just because I also don't want us to turn into getting a lot of things that people either want to add to the bill or put in, and this is important, and there's some things that may not be. I just feel like it's also important that we've had letters go out before with our water bill, especially during the height of the crisis, that I think this would be a good different kind of tone with it.
Okay.
Just my PR side of my brain.
Is there a way that the board can take a look at the letter after Andy gets done
Absolutely.
reviewing it?
Absolutely.
Before it goes out?
Yep.
I feel,
If the readings are done Thursday, when would you guys start to mail things out? Would it be that Friday or would it be next week? Next week? Okay.
Just
So
not
yeah,
for Christmas.
in the coming days we'll get.
Happy holidays from the village of Hoosick Falls.
Yeah, right. And that's your machine that does it all.
Very hello.
All right, then in that case, we'll make sure to make this something that we move on this week, and once we have something that we're all content with, we'll send it out to you guys for comments and make sure it's all good.
Okay.
All right.
If he's all right, we'll be
All right.
good. Yep.
Fine.
Okay. In that case, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, passes. Thank you, Dr. Bonds.
thank you all.
Before I open it up, I have one more. We have a request from Jason Von Guinness. Is he here today? No. Okay. To apply, I have a letter, don't I?
Yes.
To apply for a New York State liquor license, beer and wine only at the Unihog Barbecue, future Unihog Barbecue, on Center Street. Do you have that letter? All right. Somewhere.
Me too.
It's a great letter. It's the best.
Applying for beer and wine only in restaurant.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep, beer and wine only restaurant. Also planning to run a private bocce club in the basement.
Yeah.
Really?
Which
Yes.
is literally the coolest thing I've ever heard of, but that's on the side. That will be applying for a separate seasonal club permit. So, do we have to have? What do we just approve it, or we don't have to have it physically on paper to approve?
No,
How does that
no,
work?
you have to approve.
Do you have any?
Approve him applying for it, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, our approval, remember we went through this last time, our approval doesn't really
Yeah.
mean anything to the liquor authority, but it
Yeah.
does. It's just, it's our consent that we're saying we're in
Gotcha.
agreement with it.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you had any objections, that could be taken into account by the
Right.
state
Okay.
authority.
Okay. Any unless anyone has questions, I'm looking for a motion to
Motion.
grant that. Brian,
Second.
second. Ben. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Great. People to be heard. Is there anyone here who would like to speak? I just want to get an idea of how many people want to speak for a time limit. 1, 2, 3. All right. Set like about a 4-minute limit each. Just remember when you speak to state your name and address. Would you like to go first?
Could you give me a second?
So absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Just got here from work.
I can have someone else go if you would like.
Well,
called
nobody
making an
else can
entrance.
do it, I'll do it, but if I could wipe my glasses off, I'd appreciate it.
Why don't you go first, Marion?
Marion Stevens, 63 Weiler Avenue. I'm just wanting an update on the notification, the reverse 911 or any kind of communication updates.
So State of New York is been doing an upgrade to the system. There's, I think, one guy that does demos before they will hook us up with it. So it's been a matter of him finding time. I had a time scheduled with him a couple days before Thanksgiving, and he got jury duty. We've yet to reschedule that, but it's slow because New York
It's
State.
just been a long
Yeah.
time. This has been, even before you guys, that this has been brought up, so.
All right.
Especially with, like I said, when you have snow emergencies, again, it was really wonderful to have people be notified. Snow emergency, move your cars and those type of things all can be done on this.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, or is that it?
That's it.
Great. Thank you. Would you like to go?
Me?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, since I just got here, the request from Jason Von Guinness to apply for a New York State liquor license
Yes.
on Center Street. Aren't there chickens living in that building?
I don't know of them.
I think perhaps we should check that out before we grant them a liquor license.
Chickens living in the building?
Chickens. Kind of chickens every morning
In that building?
in the building.
Okay.
So
Just check that out.
my salon is across the thing, and I'm like, where the hell are the chickens coming from? So yeah, just saying.
Well, do we have an ordinance against chickens in buildings? I know we
Can't have them in the village.
can't have
Right.
them in the yard.
Yeah, not at all.
How's the law read? Outside or inside?
You must be getting ready for the barbecue.
It's farm fresh,
There
okay?
you go. Well, I just think that would be a concern. Okay. So what I'm starting with is the notice of violation I received about the, okay, where are we starting? Let's see, law of the village, number 4, 202 residential occupancy permit code. I did discuss with Mr. Serdam the wording of this notice. Okay, I'm assuming you've all read it.
No.
No, we haven't.
No, we don't know anything about these, so just so you know.
Okay,
We got one.
No.
all right.
We don't know anything about it.
Well, this notice is to advise me that a complaint was received by this office. An inspection of the reference premises was conducted, which revealed the list of attached violations. Those two things did not in fact happen, and he apologized and corrected that. I don't think this letter should have gone out in that form. I was very upset. It took me about 5 days to calm down. FYI. Just saying. And he apologized about that.
Could I take
Yeah.
How sassy this lady
Could I,
is.
could I take a,
Sure.
thanks.
I have all the rest of the papers as well. And as a tenant property owner, I would like to know, with these inspections, we're being charged for said inspections even if there are no infractions, which becomes a money-making proposition. However, as a tenant property owner, I'm being punished for the privilege of owning said property because I'm already paying a higher rate in taxes and double for the fees and the this and the that and the other thing. So I'm wondering why we couldn't do the inspection and then if you have infractions, slap the fine. And that would probably make people be far more cooperative in doing inspections. Just a little note.
It's a year early.
Okay, let's see. Hold on. Oh my God.
Never had one.
Certificate of occupancy, which is part of law number 4 that was put in 2002. I'd like to know how a certificate of occupancy can even be part of that, in the fact that when you built a house, you gain a certificate of occupancy. Why would you need a secondary certificate of occupancy? That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And how does it come in play with this, is that's like a double dip for the building owner, you know, for the buildings. Okay. And the registering within 30 days of the yearly real estate tax bill. That's also part of your rental property general requirements, section 15 of local law 4, section 10. I've never received any information about registering via my tax bill. And it is the responsibility of the property owner to register all properties or properties. I mean, I guess if you're collecting taxes for a rental property, I think you'd know it was a rental property. So, what are we, and there's penalties for this also. So, when did we know about this? And is there any information going out with the tax bills for that? I think that might be all I have.
Mark, you want to speak to anything?
He's making notes.
As far, the registration part of things, my understanding of that, it was initially with the law, you had to register. If you're a new owner, you may have to register. Property owners, I mean, this law has been in place since 2002. As far as my interpretation of everything is that the inspections are $25, is $10 for a certificate of occupancy, which is a rental certificate of occupancy, as the law reads, as I kind of interpret it, and that is based on the fact that rental properties turn over. That as a landlord myself, I always welcomed it, always asked for it. It was an extra set of eyes to come in and look at my properties to make sure I had everything up to code, because a lot of times the tenants are the ones who will mess up the properties. They take batteries out of smoke alarms or just take the smoke alarms. So I've always asked for that, so I had documentation that when the tenants moved in, my properties were in good shape. We're also, they also check, and I check health and safety issues along with the fire code and other things. So I believe it's a good inspection. Property owners who take care of the properties, it's an easy inspection. I write the cost off. It's just the cost of doing business. So I personally don't have an issue, and I told Terry that the other day. We just disagree on that. I think it's a good law. There's obviously parts of it probably haven't been reviewed since 2002. But was there anything that I didn't address?
No, I didn't say that you didn't address it. I'm addressing it to them because I think it needs to be readdressed as the property owner. I mean, I'm sorry, but how many people do you think are going to keep buying stuff once they realize it's nickel and dime and tax and tax and tax? So I can't rent to the Rockefellers.
So you said you got the inspection fee plus a fine?
No. This
That's
I just
separate.
got this letter.
I know,
So
but you
will
said,
be-
when you were talking earlier, you said we were double dipping because we were charging $35 for the...
Well, you would charge for the inspection. No,
Right.
the double dipping was on the certificate of occupancy. Because when you build a home and before you can move in, you have to have a certificate of occupancy, ACO permit, correct? And then if you've done that and you're getting an inspection, a secondary certificate of occupancy for another $10 is like a double dip. You've just inspected it. It should be able to be occupied, correct?
It doesn't apply for rentals. It's different. You're not comparing apples and apples.
Well, if you're inspecting
You're
the building.
suggesting a new building, that somebody gets a CO in a new building.
Right, but if you're
Whereas in an
inspecting
apartment house can change day to day. As
Right, but if you're
landlords, we all know
inspecting it
that.
every time, you should be able to tell whether or not it's occupiable, correct? If you're doing an inspection.
That's part of the inspection.
Right,
Yes.
and then there's a separate certificate of occupancy, permit of occupancy.
For each apartment, yes.
But isn't that like a double dip? If
But they're
you're
not
doing-
charging
No, it's
you.
25 for the inspection and $10 for the
Occupancy.
But
CO.
it's never been separate before, has it?
It's always been separate, as far as I know.
Well, that's not how I was charged the last time, and it wasn't you. So I still think that perhaps we ought to review this, especially if you're encouraging people to come buy
The
property.
invoices I do show it as separate. They show the inspection, $25, $10.
Okay. And that's all related to local law 4 of 2002.
And there's another part of that, which is the biennial inspection, which is the whole house is supposed to be inspected minimum of every 2 years.
Okay.
So what I have done in some cases is I will try and combine that. You know, if it happens, if there's a pre-tenant inspection that's coming due and a biennial that's due, I just did that with Joan Rogers, I think, up on High Street. We're gonna wait, we'll do it next month. The tenant will be out of there, she needs a pre-tenant inspection anyway, but we'll combine it all, save her a few dollars. And I do try and do that when I can.
And was
Yeah, I didn't even get to that.
was this just it was sent out by accident because there were no actual
It was a
complaints?
It was a form letter. I had noticed it before. I didn't like it.
Okay.
Terry was absolutely right. I wish I had changed it before we started doing this. I've been anxious to jump into this.
Yeah.
And to get this going.
Here you go,
And,
sorry.
Marie's already been here longer than she should have been, so we just jumped into it. I finally got on the Rensselaer County site so I could get the list. I got the list and we got going on it. But no, and I appreciate Terry coming in and pointing that out to me. I immediately changed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think one more letter went out, we had already printed, I just crossed off that line, and then I was able to figure out how to get the line out of there.
Okay. I know we're in the process of trying to get things in a normal documentation approach, so this is probably one of the bumps in the road, so apologies as well on that, yeah.
Well, I think it is worth, as a multiple property owner in this village, and not getting to vote in the village because I live in the town, it would be really nice if perhaps that law were reviewed and make it a bit more landlord friendly, because as he said, the landlords get stuck in the neck, and I mean, you can have all the inspections you want, but trying to get blood from a stone if somebody moves out or you have to evict them.
Can I just clarify?
Sure.
'Cause I'm hearing two different. One is the main, and then the CO. Are you kind of asking if tenants change, we don't go and issue a new CO for that changeover?
No.
I'm just trying to clarify because
No, the whole thing to me is the inspection should be the $25 inspection. I don't understand. Honestly, from any time, even before when there was another inspector, I'd never heard anything about a CO. That was all brand new to me. So I obviously need to get a copy of the law and get it reviewed as well. But like I say, I don't think it would hurt anyone to have a review of that, especially if you want people to come here.
Well, I guess I look at it as
My
the same as
property.
with my car. I register my car, then I have to have it inspected, and I know that's a little slightly different of a. But the biggest thing too, and I think is I know you're a good landlord. You take care of things.
Maybe not. You don't know.
Well, I like you
All
personally.
right.
I'll put it that way, and I like that you're a business owner and you invest. But what I also know is I've been in a situation personally, and everywhere I've lived, where this is kind of the norm and this is standard for any apartment. But I encountered a situation once where the landlord was not only not having legal apartments in the building inspected, but there was an illegal one in the attic, which was a fire trap, and somebody actually almost did die there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these rules need to be very clear, but also very frequent and tough. And I think, if anything, if you really want us to review these laws, and I might even lean a little more towards making them a little stronger.
Well, that's
So
fine, but just remember, when people want to purchase and want to be landlords, those are the things that will stop them. But because it becomes, can I raise my rents enough? And I'll tell you right now, here in Hoosick Falls, you can't. In the last 10 years, I have not raised my rents to reflect taxes, water, sewer, all of that stuff, because I wouldn't have a tenant. So, and look at the tenants you're getting.
Yeah.
You know, most of the tenants that are moving oftentimes don't have jobs. So, you know, that also has to be a consideration, because even those, they can't give you more money than what they will allow either.
Okay.
So it becomes, can you considerably afford to keep renting and having those properties and paying those taxes?
All
So
right.
just bear that in mind.
Thank you. We'll look over those laws again.
Thank
you,
you.
Mark. Thank you for your concerns. One more individual.
Yeah, I got probably the same problem, but
Okay.
mine came through, and I don't blame
I'm
you.
sorry. Name and address. I forgot to ask
Frank
that.
Downing.
Thank you.
Okay, that's my brother.
Ah. See a little similarity there.
I admit it. I like him. He's a good guy. Probably one of the smartest. Unlike me,
this is on the record.
Unlike me, he's a good guy. Okay? Anyways, Mine said Mark was just riding by and he saw a for rent sign in my window, and that was the reason for jumping down my throat, okay? Which is fine,
For just doing his job.
just doing his job, okay? But, again, I gotta go back, I agree with what Terry said. There's no way in the world you can collect enough rent in the village of Hoosick Falls to cover your taxes, your insurances, anything. There's no way you can get that kind of rent. So you people must live in a different world than I do, but I look around the village of Hoosick Falls. Property's going for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Thank God I just sold my building yesterday. I had to give it away and I had to hold the mortgage, all right? Which is sickening to me. I've been in this business for 30-some years, and I was really frustrated to have to do that, but I'm glad I'm out of it. But as far as this goes, I mean, I really feel strongly that okay, this law here has been, if governments could sue for plagiarism, that's what you got here. This is nothing but a state copy, all right, of what's going on as far as your rules and regulations. You took this right out of the state program, a lot of it. And it just, that's neither here nor there. But I got some questions. The code enforcement officers of the village, the Hoosick Falls, shall be qualified and appointed by the mayor with the approval of the board of trustees, and shall be furnished with appropriate official badges and identification cards. Now, I just found out that you have an assistant. Is that right?
Just an office assistant.
Pardon?
Just an office
Yeah.
assistant.
Clerical assistant.
Clerical assistant, a certain amount of
We're
hours.
gonna continue on then, all right? It also says here that the absence of a code enforcement officer, or in any case, his ability to enact to any person, the mayor shall have the power, with the consent of the village board, to designate a person to act on behalf of the code enforcement officer and to exercise all powers conferred upon him or her. Now, is that true?
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, the organizational meeting
This is what you have written in
at the
in
beginning
law.
of the year, or at the beginning of the.
It's not applying to Marie.
No.
No.
I mean, that's basically
No,
if
what this is saying is if, let's say you turn a light switch on and off, that qualifies you to be an electrician?
no, it only would it qualifies
It
me.
doesn't say qualified, it says anybody.
No, well, the first sentence was in the case that there was no officer. If I caught that
Exactly
right. So in the case of there was no officer, then the mayor, with the support of the village board, which means the board would have to approve it, would choose someone else to be the enforcement officer.
But it would have to be qualified. Not just
They have-
anybody, you have to
Well,
be
no,
qualified.
they
They
have
have
time to get qualified.
By the state, they have 3 months or 6 months or something.
To go to classes, right? That's how like you were, Mark. When you were appointed, you had X number of days and months to get certified.
Yes.
Okay, if that's the way you want it.
That's the way it is. And we have a mutual aid agreement, with the town automatically, and we've also gone to, as far as Pittstown, Petersburg, to get code enforcement come in if I'm not around, and vice versa.
But it also says, like, I'm gonna go back here, and it says that one or two family or multiple dwellings upon vacancy or prior to reoccupancy, a minimum of at least once every 2 years. The code enforcement officer will establish a standard procedure for determining which is appropriate. That's you, right? You decide what's appropriate. Now, my question being is that it says that, it also says that, and I'm gonna go to here, number 4. Let's see. We'll go to number 5, then we'll go back to that. It says, no housing unit shall be let, rented, or occupied by someone other than the owner or his immediate family until a permit has been obtained for that unit. However, no rental permit shall be required for units which are let or rented as of the effective date of this local law for such time as a tenant in possession of the residence as of the effective date of this local law shall remain in possession of residence. Okay, which means that if I have somebody for 30 years living in my apartment house, you don't have to inspect it.
Did you sign a 30-year lease?
Pardon?
Did you sign a 30-year lease?
I'm signing a yearly lease. Yes.
So every year when that's re-signed, that's...
No, it says it says person. It doesn't say new. It says person.
But when that lease, and that's a new document, that's a new lease. That's what that means.
That was put in there when the law was originally put into place.
But also, too, as far as leases go, you can have a yearly lease, and in the bottom of that lease, it can say this will stipulate from here on in, with all the same provisos, and you never have to sign another lease, because I happen to have one of those.
Is this the same local
The
law
month-to-month
for
then, at that point.
2002?
And it's, but it's the
2000
same,
month
right,
it renews,
everything
and
is
it's
but,
new.
but you don't renew and
Um,
re-sign.
But it does it
I-
automatically, that's why.
I think we need to look it over.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that this to me, all right, as far as I'm concerned, is you're abusing the people in the village of Hoosick Falls who are trying, you're conducting this as a business, all right? You're saying that when I rent property, it's a business. It's commercial type business. Now, do you do this for all commercial businesses in the village? Is this done for all businesses, commercial villages in the business? You go in and inspect all of them
No.
on a yearly basis?
There's criteria for what buildings I'm supposed to go in and inspect on a yearly basis. So
But apartment houses, but landlords have to be done.
This is specific law, this is specifically for that. This was put into place nearly 20 years ago.
And what was it put in place for?
I
I've been here
wasn't a part
20.
of that.
I can
wasn't
tell
part of
you,
that
it was
process.
because there was a lot of absentee landlords
That's
and
exactly-
things weren't being taken care of.
Exactly. So everybody in the
Still
village of
is.
Hoosick Falls had to pay for some people who owned property, didn't live in the village, or didn't own property, were local. But I guess the last thing I want to say is that the code enforcement officer administrator may, upon affidavit setting forth the facts applied to the court of competent jurisdiction or warrant authorizing access if the court is satisfied as the matter. It goes on in here, says that he has the right to go in anytime without the permission of the landlord or the owner. And right here it says, yeah, you do, if you get a
That's
warrant.
A judicial warrant,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
That's for, there has to be some extenuating circumstance. I just can't ask a judge for a warrant to go in. I have to suspect there's something serious going on.
Okay. That was.
And you're not cooperating with me, and the tenants aren't cooperating with me, or whatever the case may be. There's gotta be extenuating circumstances. I can't get in, I suspect something's going on. I've never done, in the nearly 3 years, I've never done an administrative warrant.
No, but I'm saying, it says in here that you have the authority to go in anytime.
Because it
With
is
the
not-
judicial
Which
warrants.
not is
With the
true.
judicial warrants.
Yes.
Not anytime, as long as he can go to a judge and clarify.
It says in here, prior to this, he has the right to go in anytime,
No, I
prior
have
to
to,
this.
I have to be invited in.
No, it's
by
not-
the
it's-
tenant.
That's what I thought, but in here it doesn't say that.
Well,
That-
I
that-
think
That section you're speaking to, it has to do with obtaining the judicial warrant.
I think your both your points are well made. This is a law that started in 2002. It's 15 years old. We as a board have wanted to make sure we can support Mark in his job. And if it comes down to the fact that some of the things in here are unreasonable, we as a board have the responsibility to look it over and make changes if we feel like changes need to be made.
I agree with what Terry said. Like I said, I'm glad I'm out of landlord business now. You guys pushed me out of it because I couldn't afford to keep the property. And that's the truth, all right? The taxes are too high. You know, you think about the village taxes, the town taxes, the school taxes. How can one individual, you can't make up enough money renting property, okay? You can't make it. The only people that are gonna be able to afford it are people on social services. And then they got limits on that also. People who are working can't afford to pay this kind of rent.
All right, we've gotten your points, and we will take a look at that.
I don't know if you do or not. You better look around the village, because it's hurting this community. It's hurting it a lot. And I loved it. I grew up here. I've been here all my life. And it's not good. It doesn't look good at all.
All right.
Who checks the landlords when the tenants are so bad? When the tenants come in and wreck the apartments, who protects the landlords? They have to go through so much to evict somebody. I mean, I've seen it, where the tenants have been so bad.
When there are concerns with that, the police have offered protection to go in with the landlords or with, let's say, the code enforcement officer if there are issues with the
But
tenants.
you just can't get rid of the people, that's what I'm saying. And
Well,
they destroy the apartments. I've seen it.
I mean, that's a whole separate issue of how do you follow up with that, and that's where you got to
Isn't it
involve the
about
police.
the same way though, they're trying to protect their property,
Mhm.
and the tenants come in, wreck it, and their hands are tied.
I just again, I wish Mark had come sooner to me and wanted to inspect, because I had to throw out a tenant. I didn't throw it out, she left.
Hmm.
And what a mess. It cost me $3,000 to fix the apartment up.
Heard of
Now,
a
where
couple
am I gonna get
situations like that.
$3,000 back on my rents?
Yeah.
And it's been empty since she left, which was in, I think, last August.
Okay.
It's been empty, or before that, prior to that.
Sorry to hear that.
And that's why I just couldn't afford to do it anymore.
All right.
And I wished he was there prior to that, and I don't know if there's any law or anything you can do about a bad tenant, because if you look at the tenant's bill of rights, they have all the rights in their favor. Landlords have no rights at all, and that's not fair.
I try to be an advocate both ways, depending on the situation. Each situation is different.
Yep.
I just red tagged an apartment building the other day. for fire violations, you know, and I'm not sure, I've red tagged it, they're not supposed to be there, they're still there.
What does red tag
Something,
mean?
red tag is that the property is uninhabitable.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is kind of the next phase we're gonna end up getting into, that I'm gonna be talking to Andy about, is what is that next step? How do we force the issue to get the bad tenants out of there?
I do want to move on, but thank you guys for your
I
comments.
wanna know
and
about the 60 days that's in here too, like you
We
just
will-
said. You force tenant.
You can email me any concerns you have of that, since we're gonna be looking over anyway. Email any concerns you have of that to me. You
I
can.
don't care anyway, I'm out of it, so it's not my
Oh,
problem.
okay.
But I just wanted to bring that up and let you know that you're actually hurting the village.
All right. Thank you for your comments. We're gonna move on to.
I actually agree with them too, because I've
we
lived
gotta.
around town.
I know,
and it is
Ivy. We
falling
gotta
apart.
move on. I'm sorry. Thank you. We're gonna move on to the treasurer's report, which I don't think we have one. Denise has been doing a whole bunch of things, including trying to get the new system to work, which has not been as friendly as we'd hoped. So I think we're likely to go back to the old system for the rest of the fiscal year. Do you have anything else from?
No, that was it.
Okay.
She's having all
All right.
kinds of problems with it.
You guys have gotten copies of the November minutes. So unless there are any comments, changes, things to mention, I'm looking for a motion to approve the November minutes.
Motion?
Second.
Ben, second. Karen. Any further discussion?
Aye.
No, not yet. Not yet. Down, boy. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Police report. We have a police report from Bob Ash. I will read a couple bits of it if I can find where I put it. Thank you. Everyone's throwing it at me. He is doing better and recovering from his fall. But I sent him. He didn't need to be here tonight. So, 2017 November to December calls in this month period, 76, as compared to 101 calls last year. The calls between October and November were 97. Total arrests the past month were 11. Of those, 2 were aggravated unlicensed operation. 3 were criminal possession controlled substance. 1 bench warrant was served. Unlawful possession of marijuana 2. Petty larceny 1. Sex offender related 1. And disorderly conduct 1. And the highlight is the community service folks, which ties in the community service report, have completed several projects in the police department, and they've done some really nice work too. I've gotten to see that throughout the process. And they're continuing to paint the floors and wall in the coming weeks, which will help on the organization here. Any questions on that? In that case, looking for a motion to approve the police report.
Motion.
Second.
Brian and Karen second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Code enforcement report.
This is the Mark show.
We spent enough time on the code enforcement stuff. I did just make a couple copies of violation. I did a final violation report in a computer system. So I just printed off like 1 month. So it just gives you a snapshot of what I've done, what violations were issued last month. Keep in mind, I do now issue violations to tenants also, depending on the situation. So that, you have the regular report I've been doing. There have been a couple of cases. The court stuff hasn't changed much because of the situation that we've been in waiting on the county. That's about to change. So that letter should be coming. We should be able to move forward with those things, get those taken care of. The red tag homes uninhabitable, that list did increase by a couple. I think 1 came off and 3 went on or something like that. Unsafe structure was about the same. So it's.
Andy, have you heard anything new on the letter? Late?
It's been received,
Received, great.
yes,
The letter for
from the
Daniels.
No,
For
it's
the
the
prosecutor.
It's the general letter to handle, so that Andy can handle all of the code enforcement issues that
Okay,
get to the level of the court.
I was going to ask you where we are with the Daniels property. I know I've like to at least acknowledge Mr. Wyman's signs. I'm glad he's being proactive and vocal. It's certainly working. I hear from a lot of people of, hey, what's that message to you guys on the? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But I
you talk
think
to him
also
recently?
he's bringing. No.
Okay.
I mean, I think and in a weird way, I think it's good he's bringing that attention to that area because we all would like to see that corrected. So
We have been waiting to move on that in other cases for more than a month, right? And now
Everything has been on.
over a month.
So this is waiting on.
Now
the
that we
letter
have
you're
the letter
referencing.
from the county saying we can do this so that they don't have to, we're
Even other cases
we're
that
all
I need
set.
to move forward with have been on hold.
All on
Everything's
hold.
been on hold.
Yep.
Priority wise, is this one near the top?
When is the court date on that? Do you have it already scheduled, or it's off until we get the letter? Or you?
No, they're already scheduled, right?
Most of them are scheduled for the 21st. You know, the Daniel one we have to do. We'll have to talk about that with the judges. See how they want.
Correct.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, just as and I don't want to speak for the entire board, but I feel like Mr. Wyman's invested a lot into making our town a lot of improvements, and there is an eyesore there. Now the companies does need a lot out. I would like to see if we can somehow make this more of a priority. It's been lingering for how many years?
Well, that's the frustrating part about getting that letter. It was a one-page paragraph, essentially, allowing him to be the prosecutor in it. When did you file the first time for that? Months ago?
I was going to say it was probably 6 to 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was at least a month and a half ago.
We've gone through 2 courts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And it's not the village's fault, but hopefully we can get that rectified and
Hopefully,
going.
yeah, right.
Yeah. It's back on us to keep going, but we're
All right.
we're full speed ahead.
Cool. Thank
Looking
you.
forward to the time where that sign can go down.
Yes, agreed. I've called you
And
about
maybe
that
you'll
several
feel
times.
maybe a few of the buildings.
But
too.
when we earn it. Any other questions on the code enforcement report? Looking for a motion to accept.
Motion.
Ben? Looking for a second?
Second.
Karen? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries. Clerk's report.
We've had 8 one-family homes sold last month.
Okay.
Working on the water billing right now. We've had a lot of closings, so final bills have gone out for December. They have to be put in the system. Again, we're waiting on that letter. They're reading meters on Thursday. The bills should be out hopefully next week.
All right.
Along with that. That's about it.
Just in time for Christmas, Ann.
Huh?
Just in time for
Yeah.
Christmas. Yeah.
Happy
Maybe
holidays from DOH.
we'll look into a way to not setting that out in the month of December next time around. All right. Any further discussion? Looking for a motion to approve the
Motion.
clerk's report. Brian.
Second.
Second, Bobby. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Community service report. I don't have one tonight, but it's basically the same stuff I mentioned earlier. Is that they've been doing a lot of their work in the police office. Committee reports.
Focus.
Want to skip one?
No.
All right, good. Bob Downey.
Question, clothing box. What do we decide? The clothing box at the transfer station?
That's it's in there in new business. That's one of the things we're going to talk about is where to put that, and even if we need to move it, because I was originally thinking back here, and everyone I've spoken to says no.
You got
So
cameras here, and you got the police here.
Yeah.
You know,
They don't work. It's just everybody, they abuse it regardless. I mean, it's like the one over at Tops now. Like I said, there's a mattress or a box spring next to it. The other day there was a TV there. People just bring their garbage there. They might drop off some clothes at the same time they're dropping off garbage. And
I mean, there is one already at Tops, as you mentioned, plus up at the Community Alliance.
Community Alliance Church.
not the corner store. Corner store on Lake Pines. All right. Do you want to wait until we get that, or just talk about that right now?
Or
I'm
I
fine
don't
to
know
do
how
either.
Neil thought about having it down the highway garage down that area instead of.
If it's locked.
I bet Neil would jump at that.
Or at the water department.
yeah,
one or
get
the
all
other.
Neil's jumping. Look at him jump back there.
How about we put it on
twitching.
Lower John Street? It'll
why
just
can't we
blend
put
in
it
down
outside?
there.
Hey, now.
Why can't we put it outside the gate?
Outside of the transfer station gate?
That's, I had that original thought as
No?
well.
I think it's more unmonitored too.
Yes.
You don't have to worry
Right.
about taking the garbage very far, just take it to the transfer station and dump it.
We shouldn't have to take garbage anyplace. You know, I suggest leave it right where it is. There's other boxes.
You might as well take it out, cause you're not gonna make anything.
There's
You might as well get rid of it. I told you when I first
other
started.
community, or other boxes in the community people can take them to on
Well, that's
days
fine,
that the transfer
you know.
station's closed.
That was the concern that Matt passed on, was we're getting so little from it. It's either in his mind, and it sounds like the same thing you're thinking. It's either move it somewhere where you're gonna get more business, or just get rid of it because it's not gonna do much of anything. I don't know what the cost is to keep it there. I know that there's a certain amount that comes in per pound of clothing. That
You don't get charged for that box.
Okay.
Not supposed to.
All right.
Last time I knew.
Didn't you just say you had to keep going? Like with the thing?
No, we're talking about a point in
Oh,
the
okay.
yeah. Do you want to stay on this point? Do you want to make this decision right now, or do you want to wait until it comes up in the agenda?
Talk about it.
All right.
Might as well decide.
Well, then what are your? So you're thinking you think it should stay in that spot. You're thinking either leave it there or get rid of it completely, or just get rid of it completely.
Move it somewhere, you're gonna have to move it, if we can get some more business out of it, but nobody wants the responsibility to
Right. Of.
take care, you know.
Hmm.
You got the.
Well, the
police,
problem
you
is
got-
it-
You got a camera here, you got a surveillance camera, you got all kinds of stuff here.
We got a surveillance camera, but somebody wrecked the back of a gazebo the other day too, so.
Probably not pointed out that way.
That's something to look into.
I just say get rid of it if that's what you wanna do. You're not gonna make anything.
Do you guys have any other thoughts on it?
I say just leave it where it is. You know, you make $1 off it. It's $1 more than the village had, and we can add it to our money vault.
If we had it in a more secure spot with better security, would we want to move it there?
I just
If
think
we-
it adds more responsibility to someone to watch it.
I think it's secure where it
Yeah,
is.
leave it
When
where it is.
when the transfer station is open, you can go in and put your clothes in. People can pay attention to that. And if
Yep.
it's not
Yep.
open, then you can't get in there. or you're not
Well,
supposed
and
to.
they also have two other options where to bring the
Right,
clothes.
go
and
toss
other
things in the
times when
corner.
the transfer station isn't open.
Those are
Alright.
open 24/7.
Yeah.
Right. A letter out to people when they take their stuff to the transfer station, there's also a clothing.
Well, true, and it's
That's a
free
good
to
idea.
and it's free
That's
to
a really
drop
good
off
idea.
clothes there.
Drop off.
Yeah.
Put signs up on that before saying just clothes and shoes and people still.
Oh yeah.
Or-
When we announce that the hours are open back up, we'll have to emphasize that the clothing drop off is
That's
there.
free.
So if you're dropping stuff
Yeah.
off there, drop off your clothes as well. All right. So I think then that's our decision is to leave it. Does that
Yeah.
sound good? All right. Any more committee report? All right, Karen.
Oh,
We'll start a
yeah.
trend.
Okay. Brian.
Yeah, just the I'm gonna have to contact the snowmobile club. I guess they've started using Greenway, and I know the Greenway committee never approved that for this year. I know they usually approach the board, but I don't recall them approaching. And they usually ask the board not about the Greenway, but about using village streets to get gas. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
I feel like I may have gotten an email on that, which means I would have dropped the ball. I'm gonna check on that.
Okay.
What's that?
We approve
Gary
that.
Kilgore.
No, we
I feel like
didn't.
I
That
got
was
an
not.
email on that.
Yeah, it's Gary. I before I reached out, I wanted to also see if we approve them for gas or if there is an approval for the Greenway. I don't want to delay their season, so
Months ago, at least a month
I
ago.
think so.
At least a month ago.
Didn't play
right?
it wasn't on the agenda, was it? At any point this year?
No, it wasn't.
No, I don't think so.
And I'm
Okay.
wondering if I'll keep looking while you.
Okay. The only that was my with the
program
Greenway.
stuff's
There's not
being
much
weird.
going on. Snowshoeing, if you want to go out there and do that, and reverse 911. I was gonna give an update if the guy doesn't have jury duty or can actually get an appointment with the guy, because they won't let you start that. They won't even let you get started with it until you do a 15-minute webinar, 15 to 45-minute webinar. And just sign us up. I don't care about your stupid webinar. I didn't tell them that, but I would. So, Marion, I'm working on
I'll
it.
do your webinar for
Yeah.
you.
You want to go do? You can pretend you're me. All right.
I've done many webinars.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary emailed me like over a month ago, so
Okay.
I'm gonna have to call him and apologize. Put that on
Well,
my agenda.
yeah, we should next
You have to
month
bug me
get
about
that
something
approved.
again.
All right.
Yell at me about calling Gary.
Got it right here.
All right, thank
We
you.
already got it down.
Thank you.
She needs a
You
reason.
want to mention website?
Not really. Yeah, we are in the process of.
Chose our template.
What's that?
Chose our
Yeah,
template.
so it's built for municipalities to use. It'll be a new look for our website, a little more different usability, easier to find things, more consolidated.
Easier for us to put up.
Easier for us to, yes. So there'll be a lot more documents available, whether it's village meetings or searchable, a lot more search function. Rick Dudow's done a great job doing the site on his own dime for a
Yeah.
long time,
Oh, yeah.
own time. But now, hopefully over the week, hopefully by the beginning of the year, first week of January, we'll have the new site ready to go.
That would be great. All right, thank you, Brian. Bobby?
The only thing I have is Neil's highway report. Just in case anybody's wondering, the leaf pickup is over with. It's been, they lasted another week and a half longer than what they anticipated, but he's all ready for winter now, supposedly, right, Neil? All the flood work is complete except for some of the sidewalks on Classic Abbott, and they'll have to wait until better weather comes before that can be done. And just, Neil wanted to remind everybody about the transfer stations, now only on Saturdays through the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
Holiday flags are up. And that the highway department will be off for holiday on the following dates, except for snow. December 21st, half day, December 22nd, vacation day or holiday, 25th, Christmas, 29th, half day, January 1st, a full day, holiday. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. And decorations look fantastic for whoever's been involved in that. Neil and your crew. I think Kevin, you've been doing some decorating around the village as well, so looks beautiful. Ben?
Yeah, thanks to Jim for helping me out with the what's going on with the water department. Right now they're doing lead and copper testing before the end of the month, and also the Paul Corporation is doing a health check on the filters. And you wanted to jump in, Jim? No.
All right. Just got this
Slow text.
a little while ago. We have a compressor that's done. Actually, we have two compressors. They alternate every day. One is, I just had it checked out by Glauber, which is Atlas Copco out of Syracuse. They're the ones that did this when the plant went up 10 years ago. And he came here to do the inspection and figure out why we keep going through oil, and they keep shutting down and breaking down, and I mean, so he went through this whole thing. And it wasn't great news. All right? When I say not great news, not great news. We need to repair it.
Both of them?
Yes.
Fantastic.
I have the quote. Just have a seat. I have the quote. And this price is including both, hooking it up to the SCADA system, to the Paul units, the filters. The Allen Bradley adjustable pressure switch, which controls how much pressure goes to the skid without blowing them apart. This price includes the startup switch over the 2 units, and it also, the direct online, I said that, and it communicates to the screen out to the Paul system and into the office plus our phones. And the price for both of these is $13,210.
Is that chargeable to St. Gobain?
I don't think that's related, but
I don't mean to be the bad
13,000.
forward that to Denise, Ben, myself, please.
I did forward it
All right.
to him just now. He didn't get it yet.
Come on, get
13K for both.
During your meeting, come on.
$13,210. That's the whole.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all. I'll get the bottle dry boxes out there.
Better get some clothes in that box.
All right. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
One more thing.
No,
How close are we getting these letters out? Because we only have 10 days.
We have the letters ready to go. So.
I signed them today.
Yep, we were gonna make copies and.
Responses quick.
Yep.
Before I get my hands slapped.
We'll get them out next day or two.
All right, I'm just asking.
Sounds good. Just like that. Like that. That's it.
And as soon as I get done with Paul Corporation, I'll have a written report and I will
All right.
forward it to you and Ben.
Great.
Thank
And
you.
just to clarify too, when you mention those are not the PFOA filter, those are our regular filtration. That's,
Yes.
just to, yeah.
What's the timeline for installation? Like, how long is it
4
down
to
for?
6 weeks before they get here.
When they actually turn the system off, how much time does it take to fix that and restart it back up?
They can do one at a time.
Okay.
Keep one going.
Okay.
And put the new one on and do the second one. Time base, he said. I'll send this whole thing to you.
Yep, send it to me. That's fine.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I mean, I guess thank you. I don't know. Thank you. Anything else, Ben? All right.
No, that was.
That was exciting. Kevin.
Just thanks to the Village Highway for doing the decorations, and for Judy and Denise who hung up and got the wreaths. The trees continue to be a struggle every year to put up and get lit and decorated because they're all outside. There's no outlets in a lot of locations. And Neil and I have been chatting about different types of decorations for outside, and I guess that's something to think about in the coming year. It's very expensive, around if you're going to put something on a pole, around $250 to $350 per pole for some kind of decoration. So
You mean to add You mean to add an outlet?
that's another question. He's talking to an electrician who's looking at the feasibility of putting outlets on those poles.
Okay. Which will
Did you get that yet?
be used 11 months out of the year by kids who need to charge their cell phones.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
You have to climb the pole to get.
Yeah, they will. I'm telling you. Kid fell off a pole 10 feet up. Anyway.
Could I say something? This conversation came up last year also on your Christmas trees, and I mentioned to you that they have solar strings of lights that you could be putting on all those trees to help with that.
Yeah, some people also use battery operated lights, and I don't know how.
And they're timed.
Yeah.
And everything else, and it really, then it would, the lights wouldn't cost you any
Yeah.
money. But I've mentioned that, I think, last year.
Look into it.
That it would be, they have them solar, they have them battery operated, and really, they're on timers now. They've come a long way. I do all my candles in my house, all on the timed batteries.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Great. Anything else, Kevin?
That's it.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on to old business. We talked a little bit about 62 Mechanic Street last meeting, and the decision was made for us to put our heads together and figure out what to put out for bid. So our thoughts have been a minimum bid of $5,000 to have the sealed bid received by January 4th. And renovation work must be completed. We were thinking either 6 or 7 months, which would put us between the end of July or end of August. I was leaning more towards the end of August to give them more summer hours to do that. But that was kind of our general thoughts on that. So we're obviously open to modifying that or getting other thoughts on that, either from Mark or from Andy. But if that is what you guys are content with, then we'll just need a motion to advertise the bid with those specifications, and then can get that out. So any comments or thoughts on that?
Is that enough time? I haven't been inside the building, so I wouldn't know what kind of work it's going to entail.
7 months, is that what you said?
Yeah, I was thinking so 7 months puts it through the end of August, which is the end of the summer.
I would think that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had one question for Andy just about whether or not we needed to disclose originally why that house was closed, which goes back quite a few years, but the health department actually closed that originally.
Okay.
I think what you're gonna do is allow, have an adequate description of that in the bid spec. This is just an advertisement for bids.
Right.
There'll be a bid spec here at the village. That can go in there.
Okay.
The issue about completing it within 7 months, and I know the question was, well, what happens if they don't complete it within 7
Right.
months? Kind of a difficult issue. I mean, you are transferring title to the property, and it can be subject to that condition. But if the condition is not complied with, we're gonna have to write up something that will survive the closing of title, that will allow the village, if you choose to do it, to enforce that condition, and if successful, have the property owner reimburse you, but there are transactional costs whenever you try to enforce a condition. This is not to suggest you shouldn't put that in there, because that clearly is a condition. If that date is not met, then the village is gonna have to decide what you wanna do.
So the idea is by putting it in there, it will make them know that we're focused on this, and if they exceed that time, then we have a decision to make, which could cost more money to pursue.
You could pursue enforcement at that point.
Okay.
You could work with the property owner. You're gonna get a whole it may be, I just need a little bit more time, you work with the owner.
All right.
The owner has done no substantial work.
Okay.
That's a little bit different.
All right, I'm content to leave it in there if that's the case. And do you guys have any other comments or thoughts on it? Do those details sound alright? Okay, then I guess I'm looking for a motion to advertise the bid for 62 Mechanic Street with a minimum bid of $5,000 to be received January 4th, with renovation work needing to be completed by the end of August 2018.
Motion.
Ben, what's that?
I was gonna question.
Well, we'll have discussion in a minute. I need a second.
Second.
Karen, discussion, Brian.
That will also include the language that we can reject all and any and all.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
That's already in that'll
That'll
be in
there.
the advertisement for bids.
Did you hear that?
And we'll have something here listing out the actual
All right.
specifications.
Great.
We'll also have this one we do not require online bids. This is correct. That's separate. The other things because we don't offer.
That's separate.
Okay. Just
Yep.
double checking that people. Cool.
There you go. Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bless you.
Bless you. Sneezing? Abstentions? All right. Motion carries. Thank you. Get that.
Bless you.
We need you on the next one. Can you give us a quick update on Smart Walk? That's the next item on the agenda.
Yep. Spoke with Greg Boyer.
When we were reading over that, I had a concern about something.
Yeah, there was a $10,000 fee that's only if we choose to award SmartWatt to do the work, the engineering part of the work, and then do not follow through and go through with for the money to borrow the money. And that's the only thing that their fee would be, the $10,000. That's what a $10,000 fee is. And he said to date they've had no one do that whatsoever.
All right.
Well, that's where the $10,000 fee came from.
Good. Then I'm good. In that case, if there's any other questions, I'm looking for motion to authorize Mayor Allen to sign a letter of intent between.
I have a question.
Yes.
I think we asked them when they were here the last time, and they were going to give us answers for that. Was we have a lot of poles that are old, and whether they would upgrade those poles, and he said he would look into that. You know,
He didn't. The only thing I have is the original proposal, Kelly. Yeah. But he said there was no upfront cost. Sign letter of intent. Design was for the design audit for $10,000. Financed amount would be tax free. Municipalities put in the escrow.
It's a good question. I'd still like to move ahead on this, but I think that's a good conversation we have to have with them.
You were talking about like the black posts over here.
Yeah, some in the parking lot are leaning over and bent, and I actually have been trying to get NYMO to replace those, and they haven't come through. There's some that are different sizes that they put up, and they said they would come back and fix those as well, and they haven't done that either. So, I mean, NYMO's no picnic to deal with, as Ian knows.
Almost
I
as
think
bad
that's
as
something
me
we
the
should.
week of
I think that's something we should have.
All right.
And the other thing is outlets in the poles too. If we're getting it replaced.
Yeah, that would make sense. Can you have that conversation with them?
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Bobby.
Could you remind us what work is contemplated under this agreement?
It's basically a way of replacing all of the lights with LED lights
in new buildings.
Not in
street lights.
No, we've already done it in our
street
buildings.
lights.
We've already done that in our buildings.
With the idea being it's paid for by the cost it's saved.
Correct.
Yeah, I understand the cost, but I just know what.
Well,
there's a buyback too. We buy back the village takes possession of those lights, and then this company, because right now the lights are owned by or leased by, or I forget the exact, but National Grid has control of them. But we would then take back ownership, and then these folks convert them, and the money that's saved is what
pays for the program.
There's a 10-year warranty. If any of the lights go out in the next 10 years or get broken, that they are responsible for.
You mean this?
So you now own the streetlights?
We will.
They will initiate the buyback process once we go and agree to this, and then But at this point, we do not.
Correct. And we own a couple of them, but not.
I think we're like 30, right?
Not even close to the majority of lights. So.
But it would solve the problem of a lot of them being out. They would be responsive. I know, and we've. It would make it a lot safer. It would be a lot more control, and when we make a call to fix a light, it'll actually get fixed. Or they might already know. I think they have one option, don't they, Bobby?
SmartWatt would fix the light.
Yes. Yeah. And don't they have an option they can remotely monitor? I don't know if that's like an upgrade, but I think he mentioned that. They would know
there's nothing in this document, but.
Yeah, there is some sort of, I don't know if it's part of our deal or not, but where they could even remotely know, oh, that light's out, well, we're gonna go fix it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, the total annual cost savings is approximately $61,365 annually.
All right. In that case, if there are any other questions, if there aren't any other questions, I'm looking for a motion to authorize Mayor Allen to sign a letter of intent between the Village of Hoosick Falls and SmartWatt.
So moved.
Bobby, second.
Second.
Kevin, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries. On to new business, we've already spoken about the Understanding PFOA survey. We've already spoken on the location of the green clothing collector. We do have a motion from MRB, and this is related to the sewer project. I'm going to read you a portion of a letter so you know what this Amendment 4 is. As you're aware, the Village of Hoosick Falls has purchased the parcel of land located at 22 Lyman Street from Rensselaer County for construction of the proposed Lyman Street sewage pump station. This parcel of land presently contains an abandoned residential house which must be demolished to make room for construction of the new sewage pump station. A pre-demolition of the survey of the abandoned house was recently performed to determine if hazardous materials, i.e. asbestos, PCBs, and lead, are contained in the house. During that survey, a large incidental disturbance of friable asbestos-containing thermal system insulation was found throughout the basement and multiple layers of the suspect asbestos-containing flooring tiles, and linoleums, and associated mastics were noted. As a result, we are respectfully requesting the village's approval of this amendment to our existing engineering services agreement to cover the cost of the necessary preparation of hazardous material abatement plans and specifications required to facilitate the solicitation of bids from environmental remediation contractors for demolition of this abandoned house. That was a lot of big words. And the amendment specifically says additional engineering services increased to $16,000. Retain Arctic Enterprises Incorporated to prepare hazardous material abatement plans required to facilitate the solicitation of bids from environmental remediation contractors, assist with public bidding and review of shop drawings and submittals, and provide on-site project monitoring and air sampling services necessary during demolition of the abandoned residential house located at 22 Lyman Street. Total engineering services budget would be increased by $16,000 for the cost of this. So that is what that is. Andy, do you want to add anything, or that's pretty much it?
That addresses it.
All right. So that's this amendment number 4 for with MRB for the sewer projects. So unless any questions, I'm looking for motion to approve amendment 4 with MRB.
Motion.
Ben? Second, Brian. Any further discussion?
I just a question for Dave. What happens to the property once you take the house down? Is it seeded and?
I believe that is the plan.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, it doesn't have to make sense. This is just the way it is. It's cheaper to demolish the house
and
than
rebuild.
it is to go in and sample to make sure every single spot that has friable asbestos will float in the air.
Mhm.
It's cheaper to demolish the building and haul it away to a certified landfill than it is to test everything, monitor it, then come in with a plan of how you're going to abate the individual pipe and all that. Tear it down, it's cheaper. Doesn't have to make sense. That's the way it is.
All right. Any other questions on this? All right. We did make the motion, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Do we need a roll call vote for this, for an amendment?
No, it's
No.
a motion in front of you.
Okay. All right. In that case, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries. Great. Snow Street. This is regarding the SAM grant for $350,000. The village received 5 proposals for the Snow Street water main replacement project. Proposals were opened and reviewed by Mary Allen and the water department. Thank you guys. Jim and Josh were down here looking over it. And in the presence of the village clerk. The 5 respondings and I'll go in price order from low to high. Delaware Engineering came back with 26.8. B&L came back with 27 even. That was $200 higher. MRB came third with 32,250, and then there's the enormous jump to LaBerge Group at 48,300, and MJ Engineering at 50,600. Now these are specific to the engineering. It's not the entire project, of course, because they would have to figure out what needs to be done, put it out for bid, contractors come in and make the bids, and so on and so forth. But Jim and Josh looked over it. They were very content, very happy to have either Delaware or MRB, but their first pick was Delaware Engineering. I'm content with that. Do you guys have any questions? Has anyone gotten a second look over it?
Mm-hmm.
Any other opinions?
I looked over them, all 5 of them too, and
Okay.
yeah, honestly, those 2 were I went with
Yeah.
Delaware and I went with MRB.
Okay.
Okay, those were my.
Well, that was just, I'm over here now.
Oh, there you are. I was like, where did you go? I keep looking over there.
Now, yeah, we picked the same 2.
Mm-hmm.
We're very, very familiar with Delaware. We're very, very familiar with MRB.
I know the guy.
Okay? That was just our suggestion, okay? We want to hear, and we talked about it the other day in front of Ann and Rob. It's totally up to what you guys want to do. If you want to pick Delaware, we're happy with it. If you want to pick MRB, we're happy with it. So, we give you our input. We want to hear your input.
All right.
I didn't see a lot of difference. Like I said, the one that was the 50,000. Oh my God!
I almost died.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that one number there. I thought it was outrageous.
All right.
I personally prefer MRB only because Dave Lucas has been very generous with his time to this community. He's a community member,
Mm-hmm.
and not village, but in the surrounding area, and he's done a lot of good work for us. But
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, those two choices, either one would be fine.
Okay. I actually, those two were my two choices. I got to meet with Delaware Engineering, and I know that Robert Flores is very familiar with, formerly
These
of.
guys on the board know Robert.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, so I'm content in either hands. Part of me kind of wants to see what Delaware can do and see how it works out, but at the same time, if we go MRB, I'm content because everything they've done has been great. So, I would lean towards Delaware just because I'd like to give them a shot, and that's because that was their first pick. But again, it was a very close pick, but I'm content with either. So.
What was the difference again between the two? 1,000?
26.8 for Delaware and 32.250 for MRB.
No, is those two backwards?
I don't think so. Let me double check, but I may have emailed them wrong. But I thought B&L was the, and I think they had thought that B&L was the third place, but I think it was far off from the first two, which is I think what you guys were saying. Yeah, 32.250 for MRB. So.
I feel the same way Kevin does. I mean, Dave has been around the village for a long time, especially been so helpful with all of our water issues that, we know what MRB can do. I'm not that familiar with Delaware Engineering, but, I mean, the difference in price is definitely, if it's, you're talking apples for apples, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. I guess in that case, I'm looking for a bid to choose between one of the two, and then we'll vote or go back to the other. So I'm looking for a motion, to accept the bid of one or two. Do you want to do a motion to accept MRB? Bobby? Do you want to play suspenseful music?
That would be the ultimate village meeting.
Yeah,
Like
I
soap
would,
opera.
based on knowing the performance we've had from MRB in the last 2.5 years, I would say I'll make that motion that we award the bid to MRB.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Can't hurt.
Brian got it. Okay, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
All right, I have one question.
Thank
For
you.
the attorney. So no matter what the bids are, we can still pick and choose who we want?
Law requires you to award to the lowest responsible
That's
bidder.
what I thought. That's why I want to make sure.
But there's two terms there, lowest
Okay.
and responsible. And price is one issue and responsibility is another, and that's
Okay.
within the discretion of the board. And Bobby made the motion based on the work experience with MRB, and that's an appropriate basis.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Ask that question before we vote, crazy guy. Jeepers. All right. Good question.
No, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I've been through so many bids
Mhm.
since I've been
Yep,
here. I
no.
just wanted to make sure.
If this
All
had
right.
been a problem, I would have interjected before.
Thank
but
you.
that's not an
All
issue.
right,
I
great.
apologize.
Thank you. All right, so in that case, the motion carries and the bid is awarded to MRB. So, all right, thank you guys.
Congratulations.
All right,
We will have water. That is my goal. That we will have water.
water
on
up there.
Snow Street.
Brian seconded that one.
A lot of people's goal on Snow Street too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Been a long time.
They're gonna build a
Yeah.
statue to you
Yeah.
on Snow Street.
Most of you know where I live, so if there's any issues, come on out.
The next is a motion to enter in a 3-year agreement between the Village of Hoosick Falls and Romer Wallens Gold and Minot. Did I pronounce those right? Sounded right. As its labor relations attorney and consultant in the amount of $1,350 per month from January 1st, 2018, switching to $1,375 per month from January 1, 2019, and $1,400 per month from January 2020. There's a zero missing there.
That's a zero, okay.
Yeah.
Going back in time.
So I'm looking for a motion.
Motion.
Ben, second. Anyone? Karen, thank you. We've used them before in the past. I know that we just did our 1 year with the DPW guys, and I think our police officer one will also be up. So that'll be something we'll be looking on around spring and summertime next year.
Is this the same company that represents us with the arbitration cases with police officers?
And is this the same company that's done police officer arbitration?
Oh yeah. She does all our labor relations, workplace violence, the whole time.
Elaine Gold?
Yeah.
Elaine Gold. Yep.
I'm okay.
Okay. We made the motion and had the second. Is that?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Motion carries. For the next two, I'm going to turn it over to Andy to discuss how this all relates to the eminent domain procedure.
Right, so at your November meeting, you held your public hearing. The board made its determination and findings on acquiring the permanent utility easement by eminent domain if necessary. You also authorized the written offer to be made directly to Mr. Catania as the property owner. That written offer was made. I can report to you that it was rejected in writing. The next step in this process, as I understand it, in order to keep the schedule moving forward for the sewer project, is to obtain that utility easement. The next step is to actually commence condemnation litigation in court. Generally, the process is serving the pleading, getting it filed in court. You have what's called a return date in that proceeding. We appear in front of a judge. The way condemnation works is the first step is the municipality, the public body, acquiring title, whether it be full title to the property or in this case is for the utility easement. And that title will transfer to the municipality, and the remaining issue in the litigation is simply value. What the value of that property interest that was taken by the municipality. We have had, the village has had a full appraisal of the value of the utility easement completed. That was the basis for the written offer to Mr. Catania. That will be our proof going forward in the litigation as to the value.
I'll pass it over to you.
So
You have it. Yeah.
Was that the rejection letter?
That is the rejection
Now, was it
letter.
written?
It was emphatic.
It was pretty obvious.
Were there pictures
There's
included?
no question.
Was there Ava Gardner involved?
No photos.
No.
All right.
We look for her every day.
I know. I went down there and I thought.
I gotta see her.
So what's in front of you tonight is a proposed resolution to authorize the
Number
actual
one is
commencement
your,
of the condemnation litigation.
Okay.
Ticker.
Now, when the sewer project,
We have to do this one.
right, when the sewer project was initially approved, there was a full seeker review done on the project, which included the entire length of the sewer project, not limited to the one property over which the utility easement will be located. So seeker has been completed, and an appropriate negative declaration is adopted and on file. So what's in front of you should be the resolution where the last recital clause, which is the last whereas clause on page 3, indicates whereas a determination of environmental significance having previously been made on the sewer upgrade project by the village serving as seeker lead agency, and a negative declaration having been adopted by the village and is on file. This resolution will then authorize the commencement of litigation proceedings through the eminent domain procedure law to acquire the utility easement.
So we don't need to do the resolution specific to seeker. We just need to do the second one.
Because seeker's been completed.
Okay. So the first resolution marked here we will not do because it's already been done.
I want to ensure that the resolution is in front of you to be acted on, is the revised one and that I sent you.
Okay.
So look at the top of page 3, there should be that last whereas clause that I just received.
There is not.
So what I'm going to give you, just to make sure you have it.
Unless I'm looking at the wrong one. There's not. On the top of page 3 goes right into the not therefore be it resolved section.
That's okay. So what we're going to do, I got that in Word, that's okay, I'll email that to you again. That's the correct resolution for tonight.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, whereas a determination of environmental significance has previously been made on the sewer upgrade project by the village serving as seeker lead agency, and a negative declaration has been adopted by the village and is on file. Okay, how much of this do I have to read?
Just the, no, I've kind of generally described.
Top and bottom.
No, just read the page 3. I've
Okay.
really, all the recitals for the procedure
Great.
I just went through with you. You should read the body of the resolution.
There's 2 pages of whereas that guide us through the sewer project, and we're just gonna go to page 3. It is an exciting read. And whereas the determination of environmental significance having previously been made on the sewer project, sewer upgrade project by the village serving as seeker lead agency, and a negative declaration having been adopted by the village and is on file. Now therefore be it resolved by the village board of trustees of the village of Hoosick Falls in regular session duly convened as follows. The village board of trustees of the village of Hoosick Falls hereby authorizes the commencement of litigation proceedings pursuant to the eminent domain procedure law to acquire through condemnation a permanent utility easement on and over property identified as Rensselaer County Tax Map Number 27.15-2-20, with due consideration of the Village Board of Trustees having previously made its determinations and necessary findings pursuant to the applicable provisions of the eminent domain procedure law, that such acquisition will serve a public purpose and is in the best interest of the Village of Hoosick Falls. This will be a roll call vote.
Need a motion first.
Oh, need a motion first.
Motion.
Second. I think
It's over there.
Kevin got
Kevin.
the motion, and then Ben got the. I thought I was going to give them both to you. No, it doesn't work that way.
I don't
Kevin
think it
got
works
it, and
that
Ben
way.
got the seconds.
Okay.
Any discussion on this? Any questions? You guys got to see the
Can Alex?
Sure.
it's your public document.
There we go. It's handwritten on our letter. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
24.
Brian?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
And Kevin?
Yes.
And the mayor?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Passes. Thank you. Next thing, discussion regarding policies governing public access of records. As we've been digesting FOILs, I had the question of what is our current policy? What do we have written? Andy had one prepared at the same time and found one from the past. It was dated October 20th of 2014, but it was in draft form and it was never adopted. They went through the minutes to discover that. So right now, obviously, we still follow all the normal New York State laws regarding to this. But in terms of an actual policy, we don't have one in place. So if it's all right with you guys, what I'd like to do is work with Andy and combine the original draft one from 14 with Andy's, check the wording, and then send it out to you guys for input.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we get your input back and do whatever modification necessary, put it on whatever meeting that follows after that. Is that all right with everybody?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I have other policy ideas, but just slow, so one step at a time. All right, great. The next one, property located at 65 Elm Street, also known as the American House, is being billed for bonds. When demolished, water and sewer lines were capped. So we're looking for a motion to adjust the April 27 billing in the amount of negative 67.28 water bond and the sewer bond in the amount of negative 65.80. Looking for a motion.
Motion.
Karen? Looking for a second.
Second.
Ben, thank you. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Related to the same property, motion to adjust the August 2017 billing in the amount of 68.60 water bond and sewer bond in the amount of 68.88.
Motion.
Karen?
Second.
Ben? Sense of pattern. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I do have a quick update on the American House because one of the things we were asking was who owns that. It's still in foreclosure. It should be done with foreclosure soon. And the county has communicated to us that their plan is once they get their hands on it to turn the title over to us. So eventually down the way we'll hopefully end up with that property. All right. Property located at 22 Lyman Street, owned by the village, is billed for bonds. This house has been vacant for a number of years. So we're looking for a motion to adjust the April 2017 billing for the water bond in the amount of negative 67.28 and the sewer bond in the amount of negative 65.80.
Motion.
Karen?
Second.
I'm giving it to Ben for continuity.
All of them.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Same property. Looking for motion to adjust the August 2017 billing for the water bond in the amount of negative 68.60 and the sewer bond in the amount of negative 68.88.
Motion.
Karen?
Second.
Alrighty. Thank you, Ben.
One more time, guys.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries. And at this point, as long as there's nothing else on the board, I would look for a motion to go into executive.
Actually, one quick.
You're saying that to get a rise out of someone.
No, I'm.
All right.
No, I'm serious. Just
All right, take it away.
Briefly, I know we are not to open up again, but going back to the landlord thing. Earlier, I sitting here kind of thinking about, and I wish Terry was still here. Some points they brought up, and I think in one part, and I don't know how we could do this, but I would like to consider at some point some sort of a maybe tax credit for landlords who don't have a lot of violations, who have been long-term landlords, so that they're not selling their property to leave. I don't know legally how we could do where all right, we don't have the police there because you have some good tenants, and also you're up to inspection every time. Is there somewhere we can write into our, just for further discussion
Discussion
point,
idea.
but just to throw it out there, well, you've owned property for 10, 20 years, maybe we have a tax discount of some sort that you're a good landlord with some good tenants. I don't know how that would work, but I think that's something we should start to consider, because we have a lot of landlords who, Mark, there are landlords that are good landlords, and that helps you, but also
landlords that end up with bad tenants.
yes, that too. But I think a fair and balanced one where obviously, yeah, you have a bad tenant, but if you're working to help you get them out for an incentive of some sort.
It does happen.
Yeah.
No question about it.
But overall, as the picture, if you owned a property for 10 years and you've got, like some sort of score that's good, maybe we have an incentive to help those landlords.
We can add that
continue to
into our
invest.
discussion as we look over that local law. So
Well,
that sounds good.
I definitely think along those lines, what landlords should be more responsible for. Sometimes some of the
And that's where I'm kind of leaning with that. So I just wanted to add that before we.
All right. In that case, looking for a motion to go into executive session to discuss potential litigation.
Motion. Second.
Bob, Ben, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions?
Close the meeting.
Motion carries.